Hi, I'm so happy to be here. My name is Nancy Thompson, and I'm the founder of Mothers Against Greg Abbott. Thank you. So it was a year ago when I founded Mothers Against Greg Abbott by accident. What I did was the simplest thing. I did the thing that is, that all of us could do, but not all of us are brave enough sometimes to do by themselves. I went and I protested in front of the Capitol, and I was holding up a sign that said Mothers Against Greg Abbott, and I was all alone. I did this after Greg Abbott announced that he was not going to require masking in schools in the fall. And this was before they had COVID vaccines for the youngest children. I have a younger son who was 8 years old at the time, and I was really nervous about him going back to school. We had just left the emergency room where he was really ill with a virus, and it wasn't COVID, but it was a virus, and it was pretty serious, and I just didn't know what to do. I had just came home, and I was just done. I was so done with Greg Abbott that night. I could not sleep. I got up the next morning, I made a poster, and I went and protested in front of the Capitol for a couple hours. And it just turned out that the photograph that I posted to a couple sites, to my personal Twitter page, and then to Pantsuit Austin, happens to be that poster went a little bit viral. And then next thing you know, we started a Facebook group. And that Facebook group, I just thought, honestly, I thought, we'll be lucky we have 50 people that join this Facebook group. And then I thought, we'll be lucky we have 200 people that join this Facebook group. And next thing you know, that Facebook group kept on doubling in size. Well, currently we're at 57,000 members in the Facebook group, which is fantastic. And it's really great because if Greg Abbott is doing all of this evil mastermind stuff just because he thinks he's going to run for president of the United States, I just want to tell him he has another thing coming, because not only are we going to go after him as governor of Texas, but we definitely are going to go after him if he runs for president. So there is that. So since we started this Facebook group, we originally kind of just started organizing in a very organic, grassroots manner, and now we have a plan for what we're going to do in this fall. You may have seen a few things that have shown up in our plan. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is our ads. Have any of you all seen our ads? Thank you. Thank you. Starting this Monday, you will see a new ad every single week from here until Election Day. And we're fighting back. And some of them are going to be a little edgy and a little spicy, just like me, which is fine. But we're fighting back, and some of them are going to be approved by some Democrats, and maybe some of them are not going to be approved by the Texas Democratic Party. But you know what? They're not speaking for everyday parents like myself. We are tired. Everyday Texans, they're Democrats. You know what? We are tired of losing elections. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of losing elections. And I'm tired of people that get elected into office that do not fight back. And I'm tired of the messaging. Well, actually, what messaging? We don't have messaging. So I'm tired of the fact that there is no messaging. So we are trying really hard to do something about that. So I really hope that you do follow us on social media. And as we're putting out the messaging, I'm just going to ask you all, get in line behind me. Let's put out the messaging. Let's fight back. Let's speak up. And we need to start shutting down the Texas GOP, because they cannot be putting us in the defensive mode all the time. It is about damn time that they start putting themselves in defensive mode and we go on the offense. We need messaging that fights back for all Texans. Thank you. So how do we get all of this stuff started? Well, oh my gosh. How do we get all this stuff started? Well, first of all, okay, we need to get mad, and we need to stay mad, and we need to organize like hell. And even though we have been beaten down recently, especially living in Red, Texas, I just want you all to know, do not give up. I want everybody to know in rural Texas that I see you. I see you. Mothers Against Greg Abbott sees you. You are seen. So you might not be seen by other areas of the Texas Democratic Party, and goodness knows sometimes it feels like that. And you might not be seen sometimes by the Republican Party when they don't bring you broadband, and they don't take care of your all's health care, and they don't bring you hospitals. But I want you to know that I see you, and I'm fighting for you, and I'm going to do my very best to speak up on rural talking points and always stand there next to you. So I don't want any of you all to feel alone. I want you to know that we, Mothers Against Greg Abbott, we're going to try to do the messaging that is right by you to protect your schools. Make sure that we're able to keep public schools open. 2, to try to bring you guys broadband. 3, to try to really put an emphasis on the fact that they've closed down 20 hospitals during the time that Greg Abbott has been in office. And then when they talk about Uvalde and all the things that happened in Uvalde, I always tell somebody, imagine maybe there could have been one life saved if Uvalde had a hospital. Imagine that. This is what the Republicans gave us. They literally have given us a government that is not only dysfunctional, but is also killing Texans. And that is no longer acceptable. And it is up to all of us to rise up and say, we have had enough. So I'm really counting on all of you to go out there, and we have to speak that message, all right? So at Mothers Against Greg Abbott, I know that we can't fulfill everything for everyone. And I know that we're not going to win all the races across Texas. But what we are going to do is we are going to be proud of the wins that we do get, and we're going to shout them on high. And what we're going to do is we're going to put all of those Republicans in the red hot seat, and we're going to start chipping away at their margin leads. And it might not take one cycle. It might take more than one cycle. But by golly, their pants are going to be on fire because we're going after their jobs. Thank you. So along with that, we're setting up chapters all across the state of Texas. And chapters, and one of the first things we're going to try to do is fill in some of those empty precinct chairs. I don't know if we're going to be able to fill in all of them, but we're going to try to get a list and see if we can start getting some volunteers on the ground filling up those chairs. We are also going to reach across the aisle to those moderate Republicans and those independents who have been disenfranchised by the Republican Party. We need to ask all of those. I mean, some of these folks are our friends, right? I mean, when you live in rural Texas, you have some of those friends. We know these people. We need to start sitting down and meeting them at the local cafe and having them over for a cup of coffee and saying, what can we do to work together to have better change for our community and for a better Texas? Come and work with us. Let's work on some change and some common ground, because it's only then that we can have some change. We cannot let the Texas GOP and their extremism completely divide us Texans, because it's just not right, and it's not Texan nice, and it is just not doing any good for our communities to be so divided. And we all know this. We all do. So it is our time to kind of stand up and work together and just say, we've had enough, Greg Abbott. We've had enough, Dan Patrick, especially him. And we had enough of, Ken Paxton. They are not allowed to tear apart our communities. They are not allowed. And we have to just put our foot down and just say, we have had enough. We need to fight for all Texans. From the poorest person to the richest person in our community. And when Republicans come back at us, we need to just turn to them and say, I understand. I'm listening to you. I hear you. And guess what? I'm not only fighting for my fellow Democrats, but I'm also fighting for you Republicans. Even though you don't see it yet, I'm also fighting for you. Thank you. The other things we're doing along with our ads is that we're going to be putting up a total of 25 billboards across Texas, hopefully more, but we are fighting back. We're putting up the billboards. 2 days from now, we are going to launch our next ad, and we expect this ad to go viral. We're probably going to be on ABC Nightly News on Monday night. Thank you. We're putting up an ad on guns and schools across Texas, and the emphasis on the fact that Governor Abbott has not called in a special session to take care of gun violence in schools. So we're fighting back the only way we know how to protect Uvalde without completely using Uvalde's name. but we're trying to fight back for all of those kids whose lives were lost and those 2 teachers, because we have to. Because right now, the Texas GOP isn't coming to save us, and it's up to us, Texans and regular parents and moms just like me, to say, F you, we're gonna make sure that you lose your jobs in November, because we're coming for you. Yes. Thank you. So I just want to say one thing before I go is to please, you're welcome to join our group, Mothers Against Greg Abbott, on Facebook. Please follow us on Twitter. Please donate to our cause if you're able to. And please know right now in rural Texas that you are not alone, that we are going to do our best by you, to stand by you and to work with you and to be part of your team. Because in so many ways, I'm just going to speak from personal experience, you guys are my people. You really, really are. I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a pecan ranch in New Mexico. My grandfather was an immigrant farmer, and I know what life is like on a farm and on a ranch every day, and I know what it's like to just exist on a farm miles away from your nearest neighbor, and that's how I grew up, and I just want you all to know that I can relate to a lot of the issues that you all are having. And that I'm just going to do my very, very best to give you all a voice, especially sometimes when the Texas Democratic Party may not give you a voice. I'm going to do my very best to make sure that your candidates and the ones that are running in rural Texas, I'm going to try to make sure that you all get a voice. So before I leave, I just want to say thank you all so much. If there's anything I can do for you, please reach out. And we are all part of the same team. And I want you to know this. Don't give up. I am not giving up, and I don't want you all to give up either, because we have so much to fight for, and you all need to stand with me and not give up. Thank you.